When processing raw files and for people, um, from my point of view, I tend to process them a little bit on the soft side because they are people and it's about skin tone. And I do a lot of brush work later on. So for this particular gentleman, Mr. Bill, I'm going to open up the shadows. I really want a nice open face and really get that up. The exposure was fine, but the background is super bright as well, so the camera did read that a little bit. And I'm going to come in with the blacks, and I'm going to open the blacks up just a little bit because I don't want to have too much contrast, especially in his face. And we're going to be working on his face for the portraits. And I'm going to look at my highlights. I'm going to bring down the highlights in the background, but you can see what happens to his face. And so he's coming in really quite a bit too much, or quite a bit darker. So for that, I'm going to come in with the brush and sitting here thinking, should I do brush his face or brush the background, which would be better? And I'm going to turn the mask on. And I'm going to start with a larger brush, so I'm tapping the right bracket key. And I think I'll just do the background real quick. I'm not going to be too perfect in terms of time and expediency. So now for this, now I'm going to make the brush smaller because it gives me, even though it's feathered the same amount, it actually gives me a harder edge. And so I just want to touch in here around the hair. Hopefully you can see where I'm brushing. It's more of the right side than the left side. I'm going to touch the bracket key again and bring it in here. I want to grab in between because it's a part of the background. Going to come right into his shoulder. Aren't you glad I'm not doing too much? Being too careful? Alright. Alright, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to make the brush a lot larger. And I'm going to make it more feathered because I'm going to touch his hair within that feathered area. Just so it's not quite so much. It's partially selected in there. Alright, I'm going to turn off the mask. And now I'm going to come in with my highlights and darken those down. And bring those down. And I'm going to look at the whites just a little bit. See if I can help. I don't want it to go too dark, but something like that. I want to re-emphasize the face. And then I don't want to show the edge too much, and I can see the edge starting to happen. But for a portrait, looking at the face primarily, and what you're going to bring into Photoshop and how you're going to work it, I would be a little on the open, on the flat side of contrast. Don't look at, unless of course you're shooting like a high key, low key image or using studio lighting. You really have dramatic split lighting or something like that. I'm talking about a more family type of portrait. Where you're recording, a family member, and so this is how I would process and my considerations for this type of portrait.